Hey everyone, it's Misty. So today's video is going to be a little hard on me to film, but it's one that I needed to film for a while now. And so this isn't going to be a keto update. This isn't going to be a weight loss update. This is going to be kind of a look into my journey with depression and sometimes anxiety. So back in 2014, I severed ties with my mother. I grew up with her, my brother, and my grandmother in a house together, and her hatred and her jealousy of my relationship with her mother, my grandmother, made it my life basically a living hell. There was physical abuse, there was emotional abuse, there was, manipulation. There was all sorts of things, and it was hard to live through. And it wasn't anything like a lot of people experience. I mean, sometimes abuse is abuse, but it wasn't to the extent where I was put in the hospital or anything like that. To me, it wasn't necessarily domestic violence. It was just abuse. And in 2014, I'd had enough. I think I was 36, about to be 36. It was just a few weeks before my birthday, and I was just done. I was just done. And it was really hard for me to do that because you're taught that you're supposed to respect your elders. You're taught that you should love your parents, but parents are supposed to love you unconditionally. And when a love comes with conditions, or if it's even love, I don't know. Anyway, that's a little backstory. So the following year, starting in April, probably early April, I started exhibiting signs of depression, which I didn't even recognize. My best friend at work recognized. And, she was trying to cheer me up. Like, I came in one day and there was a little bottle of Happy Pills, which were Skittles, all sorts of things. But she finally said, I think you need to go see your doctor because I think you're depressed. And she was right. I was depressed. And what really pushed me to go, and was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back, was one night I stayed up all night long listening to make sure Rob was breathing. Like, I just felt like gloom and doom, like something was about to happen, which my doctor explained was a normal, kind of symptom, if you will, of depression. So he put me on Lexapro and Buceprone. Buceprone? I don't remember what it was called, but an anxiety medication. And I was on Lexapro and that for a year. Actually, I came off the anxiety medicine probably in December of 2015. Because it had gotten to be where I wasn't having any instances of anxiety. It basically had abated. Fast forward into April of 2016, and then we went right back down the same road, it felt like. But this time, the Lexapro had either stopped working or I was having a weird reaction to it because it had gotten to be where I felt nothing. Like, absolutely nothing. I was like basically just a shell with zero emotion. And those of you who've been with me, that's not that's not normally the case. I mean, I'm a crier. I cry whether I'm happy, sad, mad. Like, I tend to cry. And I also tend to have a little bit of a temper. So to not feel anything, and to not be able to cry, which is sometimes, like, if I am like to the brink where I just cannot function, or I feel like I can't breathe, a lot of times I'll throw in a sad movie and I'll watch it and I'll bawl my eyes out and then I'm better. And that just wasn't an option. So I finally went back to the doctor and he moved me to Wellbutrin. So I've been on 300 milligrams of Wellbutrin since probably April or May of 2016. And that's when I realized that kind of 3-week spot at the end of April is a trigger for me. For a couple of reasons. Number one, my birthday, that's on April 29th, and the other one is Mother's Day. Because for those of us who are orphans, whether by choice or you've lost your parent or whatever, those specific Father's Day and Mother's Day specific holidays can be really, really hard. Especially when you're on social media and people are talking about, you know, how their parent is their best friend and they have the best relationship and they love them and blah, 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 blah. It's just hard. Like, it's just hard. And so, because the person I had that with died in 2000, my grandmother. My grandmother was more my mother than my own mother was. And so not only did I lose that back in 2000, almost 20 years ago, but I also lost out on that with the woman who gave birth to me. So I decided to start seeing a therapist, and I started seeing a therapist in June of 2016, which is a good thing because that's when life kind of shit the bed. In July of 2016, I had a skin cancer scare. In August of 2016, I had emergency gallbladder surgery. In September, I had nodules on my thyroid. October, I started experiencing the muscle weakness that would eventually be diagnosed as myasthenia gravis. November, it was the thyroid. Fast forward to February, it was my back and my neck. March, it was going to physical therapy and trying to figure out what the hell was wrong with me. April, like I said, I spent the whole month, you know, worried that I had ALS, bouncing around from rheumatologists to neurologists to general practitioners, just trying to get an answer. And then May and June, you know, June I left, you know, put in notice for my job because I didn't know if I would be walking in October. July was when I finally got a diagnosis. I mean, it was a rough year. It was a really rough year. So through that, like I said, I've really struggled sometimes with depression. And sometimes, you know, sometimes I can be fine. But a lot of times, you know, when I've dealt with a lot of stress, then stress can be a trigger for me. It also doesn't help. Like I said, I'm on immune suppression therapy. You guys can probably see just how flush I am. I'm fighting something. I don't know if it's a cold or if it's a sinus infection. My blood sugar has been elevated. I've been dealing with congestion, fever. I've been running a fever on and off. So, you know, I've just been sick. And of course, the last few months, you know, with the blood sugar being high and then, like I said, being in the hospital, developing vertigo, I just felt myself slipping more. To me, it feels like a hole. Like it's a hole in the ground, and I kind of start like a groundhog with my head above the dirt. And then as things progress, I am buried deep in the hole, and I have a tendency to retreat into myself, and that's probably why you haven't seen me on social media. I haven't even been on my personal social media. People I, you know, normally talk to on the daily, like Wes and a couple other people, it's been, you know, weekly at best sometimes, and, you know, it turns me into an awful friend, and it's hard for me to deal with that, but at the same time, it's really hard for me. I have a friend who feels like she has to one-up me I shouldn't say she's a friend, she's more of an acquaintance, but she likes to one-up me on medical issues, which I don't know why she would, because your journey is your own journey, but she has this knack of being able to sense when something's going on, and she wants to dump on me all the time, and I just can't do it. I just can't do it. And if that makes me a horrible person, it makes me a horrible person. But I just can't do it. So I retreat into myself. And this last time, it's been really hard. Oh, camera, come on. What are we doing? So, I think the last vlog I posted, I talked about how I felt sad that day. And it's not oh, I'm so sad, I hurt my toe or something like that. It's like grief sadness. And nothing has happened other than my medical issues. And it got to be where I was experiencing like extreme emotions. I remember spending one day in bed crying all day long. I begged Rob to come home. I was just like, I just need you here with me. And it was really, really hard. And then a few days later, he came home and we had he hurt my feelings basically. And it wasn't something serious. It was just something, I was already emotional, and you know how it is. Sometimes somebody can just say something and it it just makes you feel horrible or whatever. And my go-to coping mechanism is to go take a nap. When he and I have argued, or I like to distance myself, because growing up, like I said, my mom, she would get mad at me and she wouldn't talk to me for weeks. And we lived in a little, 1,200 square foot house. I would talk to her even when I was as young as like 7 and 8. I can remember her just completely ignoring me for weeks and weeks. And I knew when I was when I started dating and was getting into long-term relationships, that wasn't going to be a thing. We were going to talk it out. And I feel like I do that. But one thing that I try to make sure of is that I don't come into a conversation with anger. And that's where the nap comes in. I go take a nap. I think about it. I let myself fall asleep, relax, wake up, and then we talk about it. And this time that didn't work. The longer I laid in bed, the more my hurt turned to anger. And then my anger turned into full-blown rage, which I never felt before in my life until that night. And it scared the holy fuck out of me, because I wanted to hurt Rob so bad. I wanted to hurt him physically. I wanted to hurt him emotionally. It was like an out-of-body experience. That's how I described it to my doctor, because it was like I was there, but I wasn't there. Like, part of me was like, don't stop, don't hurt him. This isn't worth it. It's irrational. And the other part of me was like, hurt him, make him hurt, blah, 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 blah. And it was just this war for probably a good 3 hours of just going back and forth, and, us talking about it, and me just losing my shit. And just, like I said, it was just completely irrational. It was completely irrational. It wasn't something that even I needed to be upset about. It was just a misunderstanding. But I felt full-blown rage. And then all of a sudden, it was gone. It was like a balloon had popped or something and released all of its helium. And I can remember I just started sobbing. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. And I was just sobbing in bed and just apologizing. And just, I was it was so hard for me to get through that. And it scared me. And I called my doctor the next day. I saw my therapist. We talked about it. He seems to think, he was like, I don't think it's your medication. Maybe it's hormonal. So when I saw my doctor, I brought Rob with me and told him everything that had happened. And he said that we bumped me up 150 milligrams with Wellbutrin. So I'm taking 450. And he said to give it a couple of weeks. And if I felt better, then yay, then we're good. And if I didn't, he wants to do a hormone panel on me, because the last, 2 months or so, my libido has increased exponentially, which I know can happen to women in their 40s. So I could also be premenopausal. So it's like, oh my God, like I need one more thing on top of the other. But so it's been almost 2 weeks. Tomorrow will be a full 2 weeks since I saw the doctor. And I feel somewhat better, but I don't feel completely back to normal. And again, some of that could be because I'm sick, but some of that could also be because it is hormonal rather than, rather than just my depression. So through all of this, I haven't wanted to do much of anything. I've basically read probably 500 books in the last 6 weeks. Maybe not quite that many, but I was reading 2 or 3 books a day. Just because I needed the escape from reality. I needed the escape from my life. So I haven't posted on my Jolly Fat Elf channel. I posted some D-Stash videos, so if you're interested, those will be over there. But, every time I thought, oh, I need to sit down and film a card, or oh, I need to sit down and film a project, I just could not do it. I could not do it. And now, I don't know if you can see that. That's my desk chair and my computer and stuff. We moved everything out of my craft room, and Rob was doing the floors. So now I can't, but hopefully we'll be able to put everything back this weekend, and I'll be able to get back to filming. Hopefully I'll be, feel like I want to do that next week. And that's been really hard too, especially in not filming on this channel either. I was doing fine, continuing to eat keto. We had some friends come to visit, the week before, like the weekend before July 4th. And we talked about keto, I introduced them to bulletproof coffee. We ate low carb that weekend. I stayed low carb that whole entire week. And then last week, I started allowing myself not to. And the whole thing that happened is I hurt my back. Rob had hurt his back before he even touched my floor. I bent over to pick something up, and it felt like my hip and my spine caught. And I'm sure it's, there's some arthritis there or something, but my hip has been so sore ever since. Like the bone feels like it's bruised, which is dumb because I bent over. It's not like I hit something, but it's so bad. Like standing up is bothersome. I mean, it's just all these things, that make it completely horrifying for me. Not horrifying. It makes it, what's the word I'm looking for? Like impossible between the weakness and then the back issues, the hip issues. It's made walking, etc., damn near impossible. So it's been rough. Like I said, it's just been rough. So yeah, I don't know when I'll be back. I have gone back to eating low carb this week. This is Wednesday. I haven't had a cheat meal this week. I haven't cheated. Wanted to cheat. I haven't cheated. I still have, the last time I weighed in that I didn't show you guys, I was 360 a couple of weeks ago, which was 1 pound away from my lowest, which was 359. And I still have, 60 pounds to lose, 61 pounds to lose if I'm 360 by the end of the year. And I want to do that. I want to get to a point where, I need to get back to where I'm not, I need to get back to a point where I'm not using eating as a coping mechanism. And unfortunately, the last couple of weeks I have been doing that. So, yeah, I don't know what I weigh. Like I said, I haven't weighed in 2 weeks. I was up 3 pounds at my doctor's from the last time I was there. But I mean, I was basically wearing different clothes, so that could probably, 3 pounds is nothing. But yeah, so it's just, and again, it's really hard for me when, I'm basically doing keto. I basically live a ketogenic lifestyle because I'm diabetic, and I want to control my diabetes with my diet. And I've been able to do that. But when my immune system is compromised and my white blood count is up, my blood glucose levels run high. And it just makes me so aggravated. Because it's like, keto can be easy. It's not the meal prep or anything like that. It's the, it's like, well, I'm eating this particular way because I know it's going to help with my diet. It helps. But when it's not helping and I'm eating this way, I'm like, why am I even bothering? Which is irrational. Again, there's that word, irrational. It's the trick my mind plays on itself to try to justify not eating the way I should be eating. And I've got to get back into the habit of, fighting that. But I think I get to a point where I'm just tired, boss. I'm just tired. I'm tired of being sick. I'm tired of going to the hospital. I'm tired of having hundreds of dollars worth of medical bills to have to deal with. I'm tired of, I just get so just emotionally and mentally exhausted that it's just one less thing I want to worry about. And that's the God's honest truth. So that's it, guys. That's it. I don't know when I'll be back. I don't want to lie to you and say I'm coming back next week. I am going to give the doctor a call tomorrow and let them know that I want to go ahead and go through with the blood testing. We'll see what happens. But I will try to keep you guys updated. If you follow me on Facebook or Instagram, I posted an Instagram post a couple of weeks ago. I really wanted a root beer float, so I bought some vanilla Halo Top and had some Diet A&W, and it was so good. So yeah, so that's kind of where everything is and what's going on and what have you, etc. So yeah, so if you're interested in crafting or planning supplies, you can check out my D-Stash videos on the July Fed Elf. Yeah, I'm just going to try to keep tracking. I will try to make sure that I update you guys even every couple of weeks. I appreciate you guys reaching out. It really does mean a lot to me, even if I don't reach back out to you. Just know that I read everything and I do appreciate it. So hopefully the next time you see me, I will be feeling better, both physically, physiologically, and also mentally. And hopefully I can kind of get myself back on track and get off the pity train or whatever I've been doing the last few months. So, all right, guys, thank you so much. Oh, before I leave, I've tried a couple more flavors of that Ralph's snow cone syrup, that sugar-free syrup. And yesterday I got lemon custard in the mail, and oh my gosh, if you've ever had a lemon tart from La Madeleine, that tart feeling, it's just, or like a lemon cream pie, but without the meringue, it's really good. Really, really good. So yeah. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, I have a whole video on this channel talking about my favorite low carb snow cone syrup. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope I see you next week. Until then, I hope everybody is doing well. If you are suffering with depression and anxiety, just know that you matter and you're not alone. Make sure you seek help. There's no shame in, trying to get better. Even if that means you have to go on medication. It is what it is. You have to do what you have to do. So thanks again, guys. I'll see you soon. Bye for now.